Yo, what's up everyone? This is Kaizouwar here. I'm not going to make this video super long or anything, but we just had confirmation that a Persona 4 remake is in the works. It was already known. It was already known Persona 4 was going to get a remake. It was pretty obvious. Hell, even the voice actors for the previous version of Persona 4, that being Persona 4 Golden, has come to say they're not returning. And it was, I mean, we already knew. It was leaked forever ago, so, no big deal. But I don't know what to even think. The fact that you see it now, it's kind of crazy. Persona 4 Revival. I know a lot of people were kind of bummed out by the name. People were thought, hey, it could be Rewind because of television. It could be Persona 4 Replay, I think was another that was a popular one. And I get it. Those ones make total sense for being, based on Persona 4. It's all about television and stuff like that. So it makes sense that the television theming of Rewind or Replay would make sense. Revival, I see in a way as kind of like a television revival, like how old shows come back to get like a new either a new season or a new reboot, that kind of stuff like that. So I can see why Revival makes sense as a remake of Persona 4. The word revival does make sense. It's just not on the nose like Persona 3 Reload was, Reload, the Evoker, stuff like that. So it makes sense. So the title makes sense. It's just, I feel like people are bummed out because it's not completely on the nose. You have to really think a little bit about it in order to actually really understand it. But it's not really anything super big, but whatever. Revival's fine, right? Now, Persona 4 is one of my favorite games of all time. I've said that many times. I've made videos about it before. I even made a video talking about how I don't want a remake, and I'm still of that opinion. I personally do not believe Persona 4 even needs a remake. Now, I know it was inevitable because it's Atlus. They've been remaking and re-releasing their games forever now. So Persona 4 was definitely going to come after Persona 3's remake. I had no doubt in my mind Persona 4 was going to get remade, because why not? Why would you not do that? Despite the fact that Golden is available, people will double dip for a Persona 4 remake. And I shit you not, it will sell. I have no doubt in my mind that this Persona 4 remake will sell like 1 million copies in one day like Metaphor did, or 1 million copies in a week like Persona 3 Reload did, or some shit like that. It's going to sell. It's going to sell 1 million out the gate. No biggie, right? Now, the good thing is that if you don't want to buy the remake, Golden is still available on all platforms. Unlike FES, you can actually play Golden on all platforms. FES, you can't. The closest you got to that is Persona 3 Portable, and that has to make a lot of, concessions in order to exist on its platform. So, kind of not the best version of Persona 3 to play, but it's a version of Persona 3 nonetheless if you don't want to play Reload. But anyway, back to Persona 4. Again, I don't think it needs a remake. I really don't trust Atlus at all to make a remake of Persona 4. And that sounds stupid considering the fact that they own Persona, duh. But I really mean that I loved Persona 3 Reload. I think it's definitely a big gameplay improvement. I did like some of the characters, the way they characterize them and stuff like that more than they did in the original games. I like what Reload did. But there's a bunch of stuff that came at the cost of Reload being like the ultimate remake, the answer being DLC and the answer being basically a worse version, somehow being a better and worse version of what it was back on the original PS2. Obviously no FemC, but that's not really a. They've made it clear many times FemC wasn't going to be a thing, so fair enough, right? Whatever. But again, there's a lot of stuff in just that game alone that kind of bugged me. The music, stuff like that. I just don't think Reload's the perfect remake, but it's a serviceable game if you just really didn't want to deal with the gameplay of OG Persona 4. I'm sorry, Persona 3. So there's that. But I feel like Persona 4 is good enough. Golden pretty much made this the definitive way to play Persona 4. And I honestly don't see what else they could add to Persona 4 to make it better. I think Golden is great as is. I honestly think so. I don't know what else they could add. Really, a remake just seems pointless, but whatever, right? I have to see more before I judge completely. I gotta see new gameplay mechanics, stuff like that, right? Again, I don't see what they can really add, unless they're gonna add stuff that they introduced in Persona 3 Reload, synergies and all that shit, but not synergy, theurgy. I don't see why they would do that. Persona 4 Golden is already, busted with all the stuff they introduced in Golden, all the mechanics and stuff, so I don't see what else they could even add in Revival to make it play better, but whatever, whatever. I feel like the only thing I can make an argument for is the dungeons, and even then, I don't think the dungeons are even that bad. They really aren't. The dungeons are relatively quick. You get them relatively pretty quickly. Honestly, Persona 4 Golden's actual dungeons are not that bad. But anyway, one point I want to make about is the voice cast. Oh man, this is by far one of my most hated hated points here, because the voice actors already came out and said they're not coming back, right? Yuri Lowenthal, Aaron Fitzgerald, and I think Amanda Wynn Lee also said they're not coming back, which, you know, are Yosuke, Chie, and Yukiko, 3 of the 4 main characters of Persona 4. So that's already a problem. That's already a problem. And I don't like that already, because considering the fact that, like, why would you not just get these guys back? They've already, like, I don't know if it's like, you know, not licensing, what's the word, like NDAs and stuff like that. I don't know. But I don't see why not, you know. I just don't see why they could come back. I feel like they would want to come back. They were able to come back, you know. I just don't see why. But if all the golden VAs, with the opposite exception, like Troy Baker and Laura Bailey, they're never ever coming back to any of these games, there better be some damn good replacements. I swear to God, these better be the perfect replacements. Because I swear to God, if one of these characters sound off to me, I'm going to be the most pettiest bitch online. I know nobody's gonna hear it. Nobody's gonna like care about what I say online. But holy shit, I'm gonna be the pettiest bitch. And one of these characters sound wrong to me. Now, Persona 3 Reload did a great job with the dub. So the characters do sound right. I mean, hell, Mitsuru sounds exactly like she did. Like Allegra Clark as Mitsuru sounds exactly the same as Tara Platt, which was actually a really good recast. Junpei sounds great. Yukari sounds great. I kind of missed the sass that Michelle Ruff had, but that's beside the point, you know. The point is, a lot of the recast was perfect, and they even kept Tara Platt as Elizabeth, because there's no way they could have found anyone to replace Elizabeth, I swear to God. But I have hope that at least they're able to pull this off right, that the voice cast replacements may sound good. They won't be exactly the same, but I'm hoping that... I'm hoping. Music is also another thing that I have a problem with. I already mentioned this before. But music is one of the things that kept Persona 3 Reload from being a great remake to me. I absolutely distaste the rearrangements of the new Persona 3 music. Again, there's a lot of Persona 3 music I like in there, like the brand new tracks, you know, Color Your Night, God, what was the other one? The Meaning of Armbands, and there's Don't. There's also Going Down Now, you know, stuff like that, right? The new songs, I think, are amazing. The rearrangements suck ass. I don't like them. Like, music is subjective, fine. I just don't like them, right? I don't like any of the rearrangements. They just do not sound great to me at all, right? So I'm definitely worried about how Persona 4 Revival is going to sound like. I don't think Persona 4 Rivals, I keep saying Rivals, Persona 4 Rivals. Persona 4 Revival's soundtrack is going to be a lesser form of the original. That's already off the bat. There's no way they're going to blow my mind with the remake soundtrack. All I hope is that they at least give you an option to listen to the original, but since Persona 3 Reload didn't give you that, I have no hopes. Which I don't see why they couldn't. If the game's just rearranging all the original soundtracks, why can't they just reuse the old soundtrack? Like, they have the stuff where it's uncompressed and you can listen to it CD quality, so I just don't see why it would work. But that's all I have to say about the Persona 4 remake. There's not even enough footage to go on. It looks great. Atlas loves Bloom. I remember that shit from Persona 3 Reload. They really love brightening a game that was really dark. They do that a lot with their remakes and shit. They did it with Captain Full, but I don't get Atlas's obsession with Bloom. I just don't get it. How much you want to bet in a few years when the PlayStation 6 or PlayStation 7 or whatever comes out, you're going to remake Metaphor ReFantazio or re-release it and it's going to be bright as hell? How much you want to bet? But anyway, yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know what to think. I already made it clear that I don't want this remake. And I'm just going to buy it anyway. You know, I think that's the worst part is I love Persona 4 to death. I bought every single Persona 4 game. So I'm just going to buy Revival, because why not? Now, it may blow my mind. Maybe I like the new voice cast better than the original. Maybe I'll like the music better than the original. I just have to wait and see. There's too little to go off of right now. Especially since Atlas definitely doesn't have enough work into this game yet, because they only show like a few seconds of it. Also, we don't have really a good basis to go off of. But I'm hoping that it won't be trash. That's all I can hope for. The only thing I can hope for is that it's not garbage. And you know what? I like Reload. You know, there's some things I didn't like about it, but Reload, I really would prefer playing Reload over the original Persona 4. I'm sorry, original Persona 3. So, you know, there's that. So, that's all I gotta say, everyone. I'm gonna get off this video. I know it's gonna get a bunch of like hate, whatever. I don't care, man. I already know it's gonna happen in my Persona, my previous Persona 4 video where I said I didn't want to remake and it got like dislike bombed to hell. I really don't care, man.